Okay, so that one probably not my best timing, but kind of have to stay within the 15-minute block. So what we were doing is we were finding these values. So we were looking up the single bond for hydrogen, right? So that's the first one we looked up, and we found that on the chart. So this is in the data booklet, something you have on the IB exam. Basically, think of it as information you don't have to memorize, and we found out that that was 436. Okay, now we have this next one, which is this double bond. All right, so we've got this double bonded O. So let's go look that one up. Double bonded O. And like I said, this is in Schoology, or you can, this is always available. You just have to look it up. So these guys are all, these are all single bonds up here. So this isn't going to help us out. See, these are single bonds. So we're going to slide down here to the double bonds and the triple bonds. And we're looking for this one right here, 498. Okay, see a O double bond, 498. Now remember, I'm not going to expect you to come up with the double bond. I'll give it to you. But so we have a double bond, but we actually only have half a mole. So I'm going to do 1/2, that's the coefficient, times the value, which is the 498 from right there. So the 498, like that. Okay. So those are positive, right? So those are positive. But so now we're going to have to do what's going on over here. And all of this stuff here, you might want to write down that you're going to have to add a negative sign. Because when you look these up on the chart, they're going to be positive. And why are we doing that? Because these are products. Because these are products. And so we're going to go ahead and add that negative sign. So it's 1 times 436 for the hydrogen bond, and then 1/2 times 498 for the double bond. And then we're going to add that. And this is going to be tricky because look here. There are not one, but 2 bonds here. So there's an O single bond H, but there's 2 of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this times 1 because of the 1 here. And then I'm going to take this OH, and I'm going to have to multiply whatever number I get by 2. So we got to look up the OH. So we come over here, and we zoom in, and we find the OH. So let's go ahead and do that. So here's O, and here's H. So right there, 463. Okay, so 463. So that's going to be 4. Oops, I don't want that. It's going to be 463, but wait a minute, times 2, because why did I do times 2? Because there are 2 of them up here. There's 2 OH bonds. And so what you got to juggle with this is you got to juggle, okay, what am I multiplying in front? These are my coefficients from my balanced equation. So here, here, and here. And then do I have more than one of the bond? As things get more complicated, there's going to be more bonds. Okay. And so the other thing that we have to do is that we said right here, we have to add a negative sign. We got to add a negative sign. So let's go and look at our 463. Since our 463 is a product, it's not going to be 463. It's going to be negative 463. This is the most common mistake that students make, is not adding that negative sign. And so right here, we want to point out that we had to add the negative. Okay. After that, it's just addition. So once you get all the pieces put into place, then you're just sort of adding it all up and getting answers. So it's not like super difficult. It's just that if you don't like so much in this class, if you don't do the bookkeeping and all the little pieces, you get yourself into trouble. So don't rush. So here we go. We got the 1 times 436, and I'm going to add that to 0.5 times 498. I'm going to do that in parentheses. And then I'm going to add that to negative 463 times 2. Did that in parentheses as well. And so you're going to run the whole thing through, and you're going to get negative 200. And the delta H is up here, so I get a different colored pen here. So this is going to equal negative 241 kilojoules. So that would go right here. So that's the answer when you run this through. Okay, so once again, I just did 436, and then I added that to, in parentheses, the 0.5 times the 498, and then I went ahead and added that to the, in parentheses, the negative 463 times 2, and that's where we get our final answer. All right, so that is bond energy. Not super difficult, just has some little steps. So this is the data table. Now, like I said, this is in Schoology, but you could, if you're just going through the video here, you could, kind of pause it there and pause it there if you need the double bonds and the triple bonds. Okay, so I want you guys to try this one right here. Pause the video and go ahead and try this one, but I have to give you the bonds. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for you real quick, and then let you guys do the math. So let's do that. So nitrogen loves to form triple bonds. So it's going to look like this. So it's going to be a nitrogen, triple bond, nitrogen, and there'd be some lone pairs here. You don't need the lone pairs, you just need the bond, but I like to make it look correct. This one right here, let's go ahead and keep our coefficient just to help us so we don't make any mistakes. So hydrogen, we just looked that one up. It was a single bond. And let's do our arrow. And then N2H4 is a pretty simple molecule, actually. It's going to take up a bit of space. So it's going to be an H, single bonded to N, single bonded there. And then we'll have some single bonds there. And there would actually be a couple of lone pairs right there. Okay, so there we go. There is the bonds for you. Like I said, I'd go ahead and do those for you. And so now you guys should pause the video and then go ahead and solve this one and see what you get. So, all right, let's take a look and see how you did. Okay, so let's remember that this side is positive and this side over here is going to be negative, but you've got to add that negative for anything on the right side. And then we're just going to add them all up. Okay, so let's go to the chart. Triple bonded N. Going to look that up first. Looks like 945. Okay. So let's go ahead and plug that in. So that's going to be, there's just a value of 1 in front of the nitrogen. So let's go 1 times 945. Okay. We're going to add that to 2 multiplied by, let's go back and look at the We did this one a minute ago, but there's H is 436. All right, so here we go. So that's going to be 436. And then we're going to add this. Now this might get a little squirrely, so I might have to kind of move it down a bit to get that spacing. Maybe I'll just move this. I'm going to move that real quick. I'll rewrite it over here. Just give myself enough space, hopefully, to get this done. There we go. So I moved it over there. So we're looking for two things here: a nitrogen-hydrogen bond, and there's two of those, and then a nitrogen-nitrogen bond, and there's one of those. So this one's going to get a little complicated. So we're going to do 1, and we're going to multiply that by the NH bond. But look, there's like 4 of them, right? So that's going to be a bit of a hassle. So if we zoom in, my lone pairs don't look very good, but that's okay. We're going to zoom in and we're going to look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these NH bonds. So 4 of these NH bonds. So we've got to find the N going with the H. So here's N. And then there's H again. So it looks like 391. Okay, but that's going to be 391 times 3, because there's 3 of them. And then we're going to add that to the nitrogen-nitrogen bond. So that's going to be 1 times whatever that is. Now, there's only one of those. See, there's only one of those. So we only need it once. But we got to find it. Nitrogen-nitrogen single bond. So let's go ahead and zoom in here. And, oh, there's nitrogen again. And there's nitrogen. So looks like 158. All right, so 1 times 158. Okay, now we have to think about this. We have to make sure that these have the negative sign, right? So we said right here, we have to give the negative sign to the things that are products, right? So we're going to give them a negative sign because they're products. So let's go back and look at this. So it's not 391. But it's going to be negative 391 times 3. And it's not going to be 158. It's going to be negative 158. And that's because these are products. And so once again, let's tell ourselves that for these right here, we add the negative sign because they're products. Okay, now we have to do that. Like it's not going to do it for us. Okay. All right, so let's add it up. So we're going to do 1 times the 945. And then we're going to add that to 2 times 436. I did that in parentheses. We're going to add that to, in parentheses, negative 391 times 3. And then we're going to add that to 1 times negative 158. Okay, so we're going to run all those through. And once again, be really careful with the sign. The sign is what gets you can get you into trouble here. And so that's something that can be a bit of an issue. So, okay. I was kind of watching my time and I made a mistake on this. So the mistake is right here. So we have to come back and fix that on the next video. That needs to be a 4.